The sound of engines roared through E's village like thunder on a clear day. Every head turned toward the main road as 3 golden-colored luxury cars rolled into the dusty square. A Rolls-Royce, a Bentley, and a Range Rover, all gleaming under the afternoon sun. Chinique, God Almighty! Old Mama Nkechi dropped her basket of tomatoes. The entire village emerged from their compounds. Children ran alongside the cars, screaming with excitement. Market women abandoned their stalls. Even Chief Okonkwo, the village head, hurried from his afternoon nap. The Rolls-Royce stopped in front of Uncle Obi's compound. The door opened, and a woman stepped out wearing a golden silk gown, diamond jewelry sparkling at her neck and wrists. Her natural hair was styled in elegant cornrows with gold accessories woven through. Designer sunglasses covered her eyes. Aunt Ngozi screamed and fell to her knees. Amara? Amara, is that you? The woman removed her sunglasses, revealing the face of the orphan girl who had married a beggar just 7 days ago. But this Amara was transformed, confident, radiant, carrying herself like royalty. From the driver's side emerged a tall, handsome man in an immaculate white agbada embroidered with gold thread. His beard was neatly trimmed, his skin glowing, a Rolex gleaming on his wrist. No one recognized him until he spoke. Uncle Obi, his voice was deep and commanding. You sold your niece for 50,000 naira. I have come to return your money. Chitty? Uncle Obi's mouth hung open. The beggar? Chitty smiled, and it wasn't a friendly smile. Not quite. Let me tell you a story about who I really am. Hello, guys. Welcome to my African Tales. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And most important thing, turn your notification bell so you can get informed when I drop another amazing story. Drop your thoughts and reactions in the comments. What would you do if your spouse tried to kill you and you survive? Will you take a revenge or disappear forever? The Harmattan wind swept through E's village, carrying dust and whispers of Amara's misfortune. 3 months had passed since her parents died in a bus accident on the Lagos-Benin Expressway, and life with her Uncle Obi had become unbearable. You are eating my food, wearing clothes I bought, and contributing nothing. Uncle Obi shouted, his voice echoing through the small compound. His wife, Aunt Ngozi, stood behind him with folded arms and a satisfied smirk. Amara knelt on the concrete floor, her 19 years weighing heavily on her shoulders. Uncle, please. I've been looking for work. The provision store said they might need help next month. Next month? Aunt Ngozi laughed bitterly. We cannot afford to feed you until next month. You think money grows on trees? Their 3 children watched from the doorway, eating groundnuts and enjoying the spectacle. Amara's cousin Adana, who used to be her friend, now looked at her with contempt. I have a solution, Uncle Obi announced, his eyes gleaming with malice. There's a man who wants to marry you. Amara's heart jumped. A man? Who? Chitty, the beggar. The words hit Amara like cold water. Chitty was a strange man who wandered the village in tattered clothes, his face hidden beneath layers of dirt and an overgrown beard. He never spoke much, only extended his calabash bowl for alms at the market square. No, Uncle. Please, I beg you. Anyone but him. Uncle Obi's face hardened. He has agreed to pay 50,000 naira for you. With that money, I can pay Adana's school fees and fix my taxi. You will marry him on Saturday, and that is final. Amara crawled forward, grasping her uncle's feet. Uncle, I am your brother's daughter. Your own blood. Would you sell me like a goat? He kicked her hands away. My brother should have planned better for his family. Now you are my burden. Be grateful someone wants you at all. That night, Amara lay on her thin mat in the storage room that served as her bedroom. She clutched a small photograph of her parents, tears streaming down her face. Her mother's warm smile and her father's protective arm around her seemed like scenes from another lifetime. Through the window, she could see the village's lights flickering. Somewhere out there was Chitty, the beggar who would become her husband. She had seen him many times, always alone, always silent, always mysterious. Some villagers said he was cursed. Others said he was mad. Mama, Papa, she whispered to the photograph, what do I do? The harmattan wind whistled through the cracks in the wall, but no answer came. In 5 days, she would marry a beggar, and her life, as she knew it, would end. What Amara didn't know was that Chitty had been watching her, not with malice, but with understanding. He saw how she helped elderly Mama Nkechi carry water. He noticed when she shared her small portion of food with the street children. He observed her kindness, even in the midst of her own suffering. And he had made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Saturday arrived too quickly. Amara woke to Aunt Ngozi shaking her roughly. "Get up. Your wedding day has come. Don't think you can cry your way out of this." There was no white dress, no celebration, no guests. Uncle Obi had arranged everything with cold efficiency. Amara was given a simple wrapper and blouse, not even new, but borrowed from Adana's wardrobe, at the village registry. The clerk looked uncomfortable as he processed the papers. Chitty stood beside Amara in his usual tattered clothes, though he had made an effort to wash his face. For the first time, Amara could see his eyes clearly. They were deep brown, intelligent, and surprisingly gentle. "Do you, Amara Okafor, take this man as your husband?" the clerk asked. Amara's throat was tight. She looked at Uncle Obi, who nodded sternly. She looked at Chitty, who stood patiently, no judgment in his eyes. What choice did she have? Where would she go? "I do," she whispered. "And do you, Chitty, The clerk looked at the papers. "Chitty Okonkwo, take this woman as your wife?" "I do," Chitty said clearly, his voice deeper and more refined than Amara expected from a beggar. It was done. Uncle Obi collected his 50,000 naira, counting it twice to make sure. He didn't even look at Amara as he pocketed the money. "Come," Chitty said softly to Amara. "Let us go home." Home turned out to be a small, surprisingly clean shack at the edge of the village. Amara had expected worse, perhaps a dirty corner under someone's veranda. But Chitty's place, though simple, was organized. There was a mat, a small kerosene stove, some cooking pots, and shelves with a few books. Books? Amara thought. Beggars read? You can sleep there. Chitty pointed to a corner with a clean mat and wrapper. "I will sleep here. You are safe. I will not trouble you." Amara nodded, too numb to speak. That night, as she lay in the darkness of the shack, she heard Chitty praying quietly. His words were in English, not pidgin, educated English. "God, thank you for bringing her safely to me. Please give me wisdom for what comes next. Protect her heart, and forgive those who have wronged her, for they do not understand what they do." Amara's eyes widened in the darkness. Who was this beggar who prayed like a pastor and spoke like a university graduate? She drifted into uneasy sleep, unaware that tomorrow would begin the most extraordinary 7 days of her life. Amara woke to the smell of akara frying. Confused, she sat up and saw Chitty at the small stove, cooking breakfast. He had bathed. His face was cleaner, and she could see his features more clearly. He was younger than she thought, perhaps late 20s, with a strong jawline hidden beneath his unkempt beard. "Good morning," he said. "Please eat. We have a long journey ahead." Journey? Amara accepted the plate of akara and pap. "Where are we going?" "Lagos. We leave in 1 hour." "Lagos." Amara's hand froze halfway to her mouth. "But you are a beggar. How will we get to Lagos?" Chitty smiled, a real smile that transformed his face. "Amara, sit down. I need to tell you the truth about who I am." Her heart pounded as she sat on the mat. Chitty pulled out a worn briefcase from under a pile of clothes. From it, he produced documents, photographs, and a smartphone that looked expensive and out of place in the shabby shack. "My name is Chitty Bir Okonkwo. I am the only son of Chief Emmanuel Okonkwo, owner of Okonkwo Industries, one of the largest manufacturing companies in Nigeria." Amara's akara fell from her hand. "What?" 3 years ago, my father and I had a terrible argument. He wanted me to marry a woman from a wealthy family for business reasons. I refused. I told him that wealth had made our family greedy and blind to real suffering. He said I didn't understand the real world. So I made a bet with him. Chitty's eyes grew distant with memory. I told him I would live as a poor man for 3 years. If I could survive, and if I could find genuine love and kindness without money, he would let me choose my own path in life. He agreed, thinking I would fail within months. So this was all a test? Amara whispered, "Yes. For 3 years, I have lived as a beggar, watching people, learning about human nature. Most people treated me with disgust or pity. But you," he looked at her intently, "you were different. Even when you had nothing, you shared. Even when people mocked you, you remained kind. I watched you for months before I approached your uncle. You paid 50,000 naira to marry me? Why?" Chitty's expression grew serious. "Because I saw your uncle was planning to sell you to Ease, the palm wine tapper, a violent drunk. I heard him discussing it with his wife. I couldn't let that happen. So I made a better offer, one he couldn't refuse." Tears rolled down Amara's cheeks. "You saved me. We saved each other," Chitty said gently. "You showed me that goodness still exists. And now, my 3 years are complete. Yesterday, I contacted my father. He has agreed to honor our bet. Today, we return to Lagos, and I want you by my side, not as an obligation, but as my partner if you choose." Amara couldn't speak. The beggar was a prince. Her nightmare had been a blessing in disguise. "The question is," Chitty continued, "do you want to come with me? I will not force you. If you choose to stay, I will give you money to start a new life wherever you wish. The choice is yours." Amara looked at this mysterious man who had married her to save her. She thought of her uncle's compound, the village that had watched her suffering with entertainment, the life of poverty and servitude that awaited her if she stayed. But more than that, she thought of Chitty's gentle eyes, his respectful distance, his prayers for her protection. "I will come with you," she said firmly. "Let us go to Lagos." Chitty's smile could have lit up the entire shack. "Then pack your things. We have a village to shock." The golden cars had caused chaos in E's village. Uncle Obi stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Aunt Ngozi clutched her chest, looking like she might faint. Adana and her siblings peeked from behind their mother, eyes wide with disbelief. Chief Emmanuel Okonkwo emerged from the Bentley, a distinguished elderly man in traditional chieftain attire, his walking stick topped with gold. Behind him came lawyers carrying briefcases and a camera crew documenting everything. "My son told me about this village." Chief Okonkwo's voice boomed across the square. Hundreds of villagers had gathered, watching with amazement. "He told me about the cruelty he witnessed here, about how a man sold his own brother's child like merchandise." Uncle Obi fell to his knees. "Sir, Chief, sir, I didn't know. I swear I know who he was. If I had known. If you had known I was rich, you would have treated her differently?" Chitty's voice cut through the air like a knife. "That is exactly the problem, Uncle. You measure human worth by money." He turned to address the crowd. "For 3 years, I lived among you as a beggar. I watched how you treated those you considered beneath you. Some of you gave kindly. Others mocked and scorned. But most of you simply looked away, pretending the suffering of others was invisible." Mama Nkechi stepped forward, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. "Chitty, my son, I remember you. You helped me carry water when my back was paining me." Chitty's expression softened. "And I remember you, Mama. You gave me food even when you barely had enough. That is true wealth." He gestured to his father's lawyers. "We have come today not just to reveal the truth, but to make things right. Mama Nkechi, your grandson's school fees are paid through university. Mr. Ademola, the carpenter who gave me shelter during that rainstorm, we are building you a new workshop. The Obiagili family who shared their farm harvest. Your land will be expanded and properly equipped." Gasps of joy rippled through the crowd. People who had shown kindness to the beggar were being rewarded beyond their wildest dreams. But for those who showed cruelty, Chitty's gaze returned to Uncle Obi. "Uncle, stand up." Uncle Obi struggled to his feet, trembling. "You sold your brother's daughter for 50,000 naira. Here is your money." Chitty threw a small bag at his feet. "Count it. Every kobo is there. Our transaction is complete. But let me tell you what you really lost. Chitty walked closer, his voice dropping but still carrying across the silent square. You lost your honor. You lost the respect of this village. And you lost a chance to know a remarkable young woman who could have brought blessings to your family. Instead, you chose greed. Aunt Ngozi found her voice, her tone wheedling. Amara, my dear, you know we always love you like our own daughter. We were only trying to help you find a husband. Stop, Amara said quietly, but with steel in her voice. She stepped forward, looking different from the broken girl who had knelt in their compound just days ago. Aunt Ngozi, you made me sleep in a storage room. You gave me scraps while your children feasted. You call me a burden every single day. She turned to address everyone. I am not here for revenge. I am here so that every orphan, every vulnerable person in this village knows this. Your worth is not determined by your circumstances. My parents taught me kindness and dignity. Uncle Obi could take my comfort, but he could not take my character. The crowd erupted in applause. Even some of Uncle Obi's friends looked at him with shame. Chief Okonkwo spoke again. My son has passed his test with honors. He has learned what real wealth means, and he has chosen a wife who understands his truth. To celebrate their marriage properly, we are hosting a feast for the entire village tomorrow. Everyone is invited, including you, Obi, so you can see what genuine hospitality looks like. As the crowd celebrated and surrounded the golden cars, Chitty took Amara's hand. Are you all right? He asked softly. She looked up at him. This man who had disguised himself as a beggar to find truth, who had saved her and honored her with his choice. I am more than all right. I am free. That evening, as the golden cars drove toward the luxury hotel in the nearest city, Amara watched Eve's village disappear behind them. She was leaving behind poverty, cruelty, and hopelessness. But she was also leaving as a victor, not a victim. The beggar had become a prince. The orphan had become a princess. And their story was just beginning. 6 months later, Amara stood in the conference room of Okonkwo Industries' headquarters in Lagos, looking out at the city skyline. The transformation from village orphan to executive director of the Okonkwo Foundation still felt surreal sometimes. Mrs. Okonkwo, the scholarship applicants are here, her assistant announced. Amara smiled. She insisted on being called Mrs. Okonkwo at work, not Madam or Ma, because it reminded her that she had earned her place through character, not just marriage. The foundation had become her passion. Using the lessons from her own experience, she had created programs for orphans, vulnerable children, and families in crisis. Every day, she interviewed applicants personally, looking into their eyes and seeing her own past reflected back. Today's first applicant was a young girl, maybe 16, her clothes worn but clean, her eyes filled with desperate hope. My name is Blessing, the girl said nervously. My parents died last year. My uncle wants to marry me to an old man who already has 3 wives. I want to finish school, but I have nowhere to go. Amara's heart clenched with recognition. She exchanged glances with Chitty, who sat beside her as co-director of the foundation. Blessing, Amara said gently, tell me about your dreams. If money and circumstances were not a problem, what would you want to do with your life? As the girl spoke about wanting to become a doctor, to help people in her village access health care, Amara made notes. By the end of the interview, Blessing had a full scholarship, housing in a safe hostel, and a mentor who would guide her through school. Thank you, Ma. Blessing cried, clutching Amara's hands. God will bless you. You have saved my life. No, dear, Amara replied, pulling the girl into a hug. You saved your own life by not giving up hope. I am just opening a door. You must walk through it with courage. After the interviews ended, Chitty and Amara drove home to their house in Ikoyi. Not the largest mansion in this state, but a warm, welcoming home filled with art, books, and laughter. I received a call from the village today, Chitty said as they sat on their balcony, watching the sunset over Lagos. Uncle Obi is trying to start a business. He wants to know if we would invest. Amara was quiet for a moment. What do you think? I think, Chitty said carefully, that people can change if they want to, but they must show genuine remorse first, not just seek financial benefit. Agreed. Amara sipped her Zobo drink. Tell him we will consider it if he does 3 things. Apologize publicly in the village square, volunteer at an orphanage for 6 months, and write a letter explaining what he learned from his actions. Chitty laughed. You are tougher than me. I learned from the best, she grinned. A certain beggar prince who taught me that accountability matters. As night fell over Lagos, they sat in comfortable silence. 2 people who had found each other in the most unlikely circumstances. Chitty's test had ended, but their real journey together was just beginning. In the distance, they could see the lights of the city, millions of stories unfolding, some tragic, some triumphant. Somewhere out there were more orphans like Amara had been, more people suffering under cruelty and injustice. But now there was also hope. Now there was the Okonkwo Foundation. Now there were 2 people who understood that true wealth wasn't measured in golden cars or designer clothes, but in the lives touched, the dignity restored, and the love shared. Amara reached for Chitty's hand. He squeezed it gently. Thank you, she said softly, for seeing me when I was invisible, for choosing me when I had nothing to offer. You always had everything to offer, Chitty replied. Your kindness, your strength, your beautiful spirit. I was the fortunate one. Amara, you taught me what real treasure looks like. Far away in E's village, people still talk about the beggar who became a prince and the orphan who became a queen. The story spread across Nigeria, inspiring others, changing perspectives, reminding people that human worth cannot be measured in naira and kobo. And in a small storage room in Uncle Obi's compound, now empty and dusty, a photograph lay forgotten on the floor. Amara's parents, smiling eternally, as if they knew all along that their daughter's tears would one day turn to triumph.